Have you ever wondered where to get started on a new constructed deck? Picking up the game again and want to dive into standard or modern, but don't know what archetypes are viable? Well, apparently the answer is a pre-built deck on Amazon, and not a commander precon. This store is selling a fully modern legal Demir deck based solely of Final Fantasy cards. Is this a worthwhile option to get started in a new format, or just a really clever way of selling bulk? The deck itself is only running 2 mythics in itself unsundered, and 2 rares in Vincent Valentine. It also has Ultimecia as another graveyard threat, and some standard Demir Surveil options. Every card here is from Final Fantasy, so nothing like Momentum Breaker or any of the bounce creatures like Sun Pearl Kirin. Basic removal options and Overkill and Vane's Treachery. There's also nothing but basic lands here. Not even any dual color enters tapped commons from Final Fantasy like Trano Dark City. However, can this deck get a win in Standard? If you show up to your LGS's Standard Showdown or Store Champs, can you squeak out a win based on your opponent expecting you to have something? Or is this just a reasonable way to get into an archetype without having to pay a lot up front? Cost-wise, this deck is going for $60. I guarantee you not every card here is worth $1. I didn't want to total up how much was actually here, but let's assume it's something like $15 to $20. That's probably way too generous. So is this useful to get started in Paper Magic? A Mythic ranked Demir deck on Arena costs at least $260 in paper. However, half of that is Kaidos and Gloomlake Verges. Also, a new player probably also can't build this deck on Arena either. They wouldn't have the cards from the 10 or 11 or however many sets are legal and standard right now. Foundations and Final Fantasy are messing up the math when it used to be a clean 4 sets per year. MTG Online is probably cheaper but not free, and likely has a shorter lifespan than MTG Arena will, and there are even whispers that there will be a new client soon anyway. For a $60 entry fee and you can show up to play Modern. I assume this deck is getting steamrolled in Modern by almost anything, so maybe you show up to play Standard and get lucky. There's also a Goblins deck from Foundations. This one might be able to pick off a win potentially in a wide board with Krenko down, and this one's only $50. There's an option to buy 22 of them, so I wonder how much bulk the seller is aggregating to create these decks as more than one ofs. Does anyone know how to check how much an Amazon item is selling? If so, let me know in the comments. I'd like to check out if these things sell or not. There's a cool Toxic deck as well. This one isn't legal in Standard anymore, but Toxic is kind of fun, and I think it's going to make its way back into Standard soon. Surprising that Venom doesn't have Toxic or Infect, right? This seller has at least a dozen decks up for sale, and I couldn't find anyone else doing something similar. These actually sell. This shop may have a great method set up to turn bulk into real profit. So let me know what you think about these decks. Are they useless, or are they a viable way for someone to get started in Paper Magic? Should stores be using their bulk and handing these decks out for cheap? I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to get subscribed if you did. Thanks for watching, and take care.